With the NBA trade deadline about a month away, there's one player every playoff team should be calling about: Cam Johnson. The Brooklyn Nets forward has broken out this season, establishing himself as one of the league's most efficient offensive players. Johnson's value starts with his elite three-point shooting. His season averages 43.6% from beyond the arc on 7.5 attempts per game speak for themselves. However, the deeper you dive into the numbers, the more impressive his shooting becomes. The more you dig into the numbers, the more impressive this aspect of Cam Johnson's game becomes. Using data from the last 3 seasons for a larger sample size, Johnson has attempted nearly 700 catch-and-shoot three-pointers, converting an incredible 42.1% of them. That number climbs to over 44% on wide-open looks, making him the type of player defenses simply can't afford to leave unguarded or use as a help defender. Adding to the challenge, Johnson is constantly on the move, hunting for small openings with his off-ball movement, which keeps defenders on high alert at all times. For instance, in one play, Johnson starts spotted up on the wing. As soon as Cam Thomas begins a drive, Johnson immediately relocates to open space at the top of the key. This puts the defender in an impossible position, forcing a tough choice between helping on the drive or staying home on Johnson, who punishes the defense with his quick decision-making and sharp shooting. The defender makes his choice, and the ball finds Johnson for a wide-open triple. It feels like Johnson never stops moving. In another play, he starts under the basket, notices a potential opening in the corner, and sprints along the baseline. Sear Williams sets a perfect down screen, giving Johnson a warm-up jumper. Even when he starts with the ball in his hands, Johnson avoids forcing tough shots or trying to break his man down one-on-one. Instead, he quickly passes it and relocates to the perimeter. In one instance, Claxton sets a beautifully timed flare screen, and while the Cavaliers do a great job switching to get Allen on the ball, it doesn't matter. This highlights another key point. Although Johnson excels at relocating and finding open threes, he doesn't need much space to get his shot off comfortably. That's largely thanks to his height. He's one of the taller wing shooters in the NBA. It's too much to say make a difference or buys more time, but it really isn't. He's a great coach on the team. At 6'8", Johnson is one of the taller wing shooters in the NBA, which allows him to shoot over the top of contests. As a result, defenders are often faced with 2 options. They can either stay glued to him in space, but that puts them in a vulnerable position if he decides to cut or run off a back screen, or they can give him a little cushion, preparing for a potential cut, then close out hard once the pass is made. Johnson is also a dangerous attacker off the catch. Not only can he take a dribble or two and still comfortably get his shot off, but he's also a decisive slasher, capable of applying significant pressure on the rim. This ability pairs beautifully with the way he relocates along the perimeter, and while finding openings as a shooter, he's also creating driving lanes for himself to attack and finish. For these reasons, defenses can't really assign a smaller guard to Johnson without creating mismatch problems. When he's guarded by a bigger wing or even a forward, those defenders are forced to chase him as he navigates through a variety of screens. In addition to being a knockdown spot-up shooter, whether wide open or with a decent contest, he's also capable of shooting on the move. Looking around the NBA, there aren't many movement shooters who stand at 6'8" or taller, which makes Johnson especially dangerous coming off screens. If his defender gets caught on a screen and the big isn't all the way up, Johnson will consistently take and make that shot. This ability is enhanced by the way the Nets use their bigs as passing and screening hubs in the middle of the floor. The Nets system means Cam Johnson is constantly coming off handoffs, and as mentioned, he's not only a threat to shoot on the move, but also a threat to put the ball down and drive. Defenders are often forced to chase him over the top and run him off the line, which puts the rest of the defense in a tough spot when he decides to drive. In addition to being a capable finisher, Johnson is a legitimately good passer out of drives, actively creating opportunities for his teammates. His passing adds another layer to his game, enabling him to counter various defensive coverages. In one play, he draws 2 defenders, and although the Nets' spacing is a bit funky and there isn't an obvious read, Johnson still manages to find Trendon Watford with a pass over the top. Watford then attacks off the catch and finishes at the rim for 2. Many defenses opt to soft switch these actions because Cam Johnson isn't much of an isolation threat, but if the roller times a slip correctly, he can deliver a shovel pass in the pocket. More often than not, his defender will stay glued to his hip to take away the three, while the rest of the defense reacts. In these situations, Johnson consistently makes the right reads to find the open man. While he's not a high-volume playmaker who will regularly dissect defenses with his passing, his utility off screens and handoffs is so significant that, with the right roster construction, he could serve as a legitimate offensive focal point. That ideal roster would likely include an on-ball creator and a big who operates as an offensive hub in the middle of the floor. Teams like Denver, Sacramento, and OKC come to mind. However, Johnson isn't the type of player you can give the ball to and expect him to consistently break down defenses one-on-one to get a bucket. What Cam Johnson is, though, is a hypersensitive scorer who rarely makes mistakes. This season, he's averaging 19.1 points per game on an incredible 67% true shooting. The only other players in NBA history to hit those benchmarks are Steph Curry in 2018 and Kevin Durant and Nikola Jokic in 2023. For any team looking for a complementary piece to elevate their offense, they won't find a better option than Cam Johnson. On the defensive side, Johnson isn't a game changer in either direction. He lacks the quickness to consistently defend at the point of attack and doesn't have the strength to match up with bigs, making him less versatile in switch-heavy schemes. However, he's solid as a man-to-man defender against most wings and forwards. While he's not a playmaker or turnover generator away from the ball, Johnson is sound and active as a help defender, with enough size to provide some resistance in key moments. Johnson has enough size to offer resistance in the paint when needed and generally avoids lapses in judgment or defensive breakdowns. For a team with an established defensive structure, he would seamlessly fit in as a reliable role player. While he likely won't add much value defensively, he also won't be a liability. In the later rounds of the playoffs, simply being able to hold your own defensively can make a significant difference, especially considering the unique lineup flexibility Johnson's skill set provides. Teams often face trade-offs between shooting and passing or size and defense, but Johnson bridges those gaps. At 6'8", he's a competent defender while also bringing elite shooting and offensive versatility to the table. This combination makes him an invaluable asset for teams looking to balance their lineups without sacrificing critical elements of their game plan. Best shooter on most teams, combined with solid passing skills, is incredibly valuable. Cam Johnson is one of the best connective pieces the NBA has to offer right now, and with the Nets seemingly willing to move him, every team aiming to compete should be picking up the phone. The asking price is likely to be 2 first-round picks, plus whatever players are needed to match salaries. OKC has the assets to put together the most compelling package if they choose to pursue Johnson, given their surplus of first-round picks and tradable contracts such as Isaiah Joe, Aaron Wiggins, and Kenrich Williams. Additionally, reports suggest that the Kings are actively involved in trade discussions. They also have picks they could pair with players like Kevin Huerter or Trey Lyles to make a competitive offer. Cam Johnson would be a seamless fit on virtually any competitive team with a solid half-court offense. In the East, teams like the Cavs, Knicks, or Bucks stand out as potential destinations. In the West, beyond the teams I've already mentioned, the Grizzlies, Mavericks, Nuggets, Timberwolves, and either of the LA teams would also be great fits. While I'm not sure I'd call it a sweepstakes, I'm genuinely excited to see what happens with Cam Johnson. He has one of those rare, specialized skill sets that could truly move the needle for a team chasing a championship. If you enjoyed this breakdown, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on post notifications to stay updated on more content. For those interested in more in-depth analysis, check out the Hoop Venue podcast and follow my social media profiles. Links are in the description. Let me know in the comments what you think about Cam Johnson. As always, I hope you all have a fantastic day, and I'll see you in the next one.